Hey.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, I thought we had this thing planned out.
Yeah, you emailed me telling me not to come.
Hey, I don't even have your email.
Oh, whatever.
Whatever.
Let's
Okay.
just do this.
Anyway, here we are.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Alex and Constantine's
Reviews.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Finally
And
back at this again.
We've made it to season 4. We had a little bit of time off. Sorry about that. But here we are.
Yes. Well, normally I love to start these episodes by being like, man, what a great season. It was so hard to rank, and it was better than the last. You know, that's how every one of them has started.
Yeah.
But this time around, I'm sad to report that is not the case.
Yeah.
This season of Columbo, season 4 of Columbo, was kind of a letdown compared to the other 3. But before we get into that,
Comments
of the
Yeah,
week.
we wanted to say we appreciate the comments, guys. Even the negative. Are they negative? We have any hateful comments? No, not hateful.
Not really. No.
A lot of people comment with their own suggestions, and this is all very subjective, guys. I mean, this is just us watching Columbo and just talking about what we like the best.
Uh-huh.
Hey, we don't always agree on them, but even if there's certain episodes that I've watched years ago that I have a different opinion now today, and if we did it again, we'd probably have different rankings for seasons 1 and 2, possibly.
Yeah.
So there's no right or wrong answer, but
So for this week's comment of the week,
comment of the week. So
we got Albert. He says, best season of all, but bribe, guys. Don't you mean blackmail?
yes, I messed up.
And I thought you were the real Columbo fan.
I know.
Yes,
Sorry
we
for letting you guys
apologize.
down. I apologize. My mistake. I misspoke. I said that everyone who blackmails the killer in a Columbo episode gets whacked. Actually, I said bribe, but it's actually blackmail. So
Yes.
you don't blackmail the killer in Columbo. Otherwise,
It always ends bad for you.
Always ends bad for
Thank
you.
you, Albert. If you want to be on comment of the week, maybe post a comment.
thanks, guys. Yes.
All right.
So, overview season 4, only 6 episodes. Not as good. Not as good. Season
as good.
3 was like the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Season 1 was a great start. Season 2 continued it, and then season 3 was like, I think, awesome. Like,
Season 3
except for like
easily.
one episode, maybe it was a little weaker, but they were all really good.
Yeah, season 3.
Really good. In fact, we even had a disagreement on the best one because they
Season
were so
1,
good.
fantastic road beginning.
Yeah.
Season 2 kept up the momentum in a pretty much equally as good season.
Yep.
And then season 3 brought it upwards to becoming
Yeah.
a super great series. And then season 4, kind of a letdown, sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of let down. I did some research, and apparently a lot of people have season 4 as kind of the low point, and then it apparently gets better in the next couple seasons. So there's some really good seasons coming up.
Let's see.
But we'll see. We'll have to
see.
see, because I think season 3 was a really high bar to
maybe they'll
cross.
bring it back.
Let's see what happens. So let's start this week. Number 6, our least favorite for this season was episode called Playback.
Okay. So, playback. So, this one stars a German guy, which is our main gripe with the episode as it seems.
I think, yeah.
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 So this one stars a German guy as the main
Yeah.
antagonist. He kills his mother-in-law because she wants the company back because under his management,
And he's dating who?
her daughter, because that's
Yep.
because his mother-in-law.
That's right.
And she's like, man, under your management, my company sucks. You
Yeah,
know, it's like
we're losing money.
you're really terrible at
He's
your
like,
job.
oh, is that, but the economy is a downturn, don't you know, madam?
Yeah, she's like, don't tell me about the economy, like, actually stop. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, no, I would like your resignation letters.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, tomorrow morning, and he's like, no, that's French. And he was like, okay.
Yeah.
He's like, okay.
Yeah, and so he's like he spends money. He loves tech. It's a technology company, and he's got leaving the house all decked up. Like he's clapping
claps
and
and the
doors
doors, like-
open and all these weird things happen. And I think this episode suffered from a poor actor for the antagonist.
Yeah, but poor
I'm sorry to say,
casting
I know his grandchildren are probably watching this and they're like, oh, Grandpapa. Like, I'm sorry, that's just our opinion.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird, and I thought he made it weird. That's
Honestly, yeah, he's kind of freaky, honestly. And it's just because he just looks strange, and he just doesn't play the part very well. We had to watch that episode with subtitles on.
Yeah,
we
because of
couldn't
the
really
accent,
understand
and
what
he's
he
like
was
got these
saying.
weird head motions. Oh, yeah, it's like,
His own love for technology screwed him over, because, like,
Yeah.
the lady was like, when I woke up, I saw my nightgown and the clown on my bed for
It's a
some
clown.
reason. And it was like, Columbo did, like, an experiment where, like, shot a gun,
yeah.
and then the doors open, and that's the only way you would have saw the clown.
Yeah, because he had
doors
the
open.
automatic doors, so the gunshot made the doors open, and like, yes, we proved the gunshot, whatever. But I mean, it was okay. It's Columbo, and okay, just because we thought this season dropped off a little bit, Peter Falk, Columbo, he brought it. He was good.
He still
He
is
was good.
bringing his
I
A Columbo
think
game.
exactly. He still brought the A Columbo game. I think this particular episode suffered from a kind of weak protagonist, in my opinion. I didn't like. I don't think he was very good for the part.
No, honestly.
In my opinion.
The gotcha moment was pretty good. So basically,
Yep.
this guy is gonna make it. It makes it hard for himself deliberately to pull off a murder because he has a security guy at his disposal at all times, or
Yep.
at least at all times in the night,
Yep.
watching the house.
Yep.
So he goes and he takes a tape of an empty room. They probably recorded like the day before or something.
Yeah, and then
And he plugs it in there, so that's what the
Yes.
security guy sees.
Yep.
He commits the murder, and then he's like, "Man, perfect murder. All you need is technology." But Columbo, my man, he's very
Yeah.
smart, right? And he brings it.
He
up.
was looking. He kept looking at him. Is there something here? Something here? And he finally found
Yes, he found the invitation to the art gallery
that
he
the guy
went
was
to.
supposedly at when the lady died.
But the invitation was still there.
So that means he was still there.
Yeah.
When he left, he took the invitation. So, anyway, good. I mean, okay, it's Columbo. It's going to be good, but
Yeah.
a little bit weird. Okay, let's move on to number 5. By Dawn's Early Light, where Columbo spent some time in an Army cadet training base. And again, in my opinion, Alex, the antagonist I didn't like very much. I thought it was, and then I felt it was just a
Yeah.
little off.
You told me that apparently they're like friends in real life or something.
Yeah, like
so
the
that's probably the
Pat
only reason he
McGoohan or
got the
something.
role. You know, but by Dawn's Early Light, not a bad episode, but just kind of like boring and just like not a very good episode.
Yeah.
Basically,
so-
Columbo's in a military camp. Ooh.
Columbo goes to military camp.
This whole season's a big gimmick, but I'll get into that some later. Basically, so this guy, the army general, kills the guy who owns the place because they're not making enough money. The war is over. They don't need it anymore. And so he
yeah.
wants to make it into like a boy and girls.
Well,
like,
yeah, the
school.
guy who did the killing wants it to. He's a very committed army. I mean, he's actually really like committed to his to what he thinks is right, and the people who own the thing were like, well, actually, we want to make it a co-ed, and the guy's like, over my dead body, and then he.
Over your dead body.
Yeah, and it was actually over the other guy's dead body. So he actually, he sets up the cannon to kill the guy and all that.
Yeah.
But I personally, I wasn't feeling this episode either. Again, it's Columbo. Columbo's great, but I didn't like the bad guy that much. I don't think. I mean, sorry, there's probably people out there who's like the best episode of all time. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
thought we were gonna get
That's
some hate
that's
for
how.
this-
Yeah, I know.
for this
Sorry about that.
episode, honestly.
But any other notable things about this episode?
Not necessarily.
Are you cold?
Yes, I am. We are.
It's January,
Yeah,
and
it's January.
on the Genesis planet, as somebody told us in the comments. So it is
Yes.
a little bit cold here.
So it is kind of cold. Normally, when we did these in the past, we did it and when it was warmer outside. Summer, actually. It was
Yeah.
summertime, which is the best time to do it in the backyard.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
hey,
no, it's not the
we
backyard.
can't-
This is an
The
unknown
Genesis
location.
planet. We can't not do our epic things here in
Yeah.
on our known location.
Yeah,
like
this
Blue
is the
Lights.
unknown location. So
Yeah.
let's move on to number 4. Unless you had anything else to add on.
No.
No, number 4, Deadly State of Mind, and this is the one with George Hamilton, who's a famous actor from the 70s and 80s. Really good-looking guy, and he is a hypnosis master.
Hypnosis
guy.
Master. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the gimmicks in this season because this season, well, the show itself is one big gimmick, okay, but this season definitely hones in that fact. It's the most gimmicky season so far. Like the past, he's like, oh, Columbo went to London, and like Columbo's like speaking with a robot, like that's like the most notable ones I can think of.
But they pulled those off because I thought the acting and
'Cause they were good
the stories were
episodes.
better. I thought the writing was better.
Gimmicks are cool and fine.
Remember the robot?
If they come with good episodes, all right?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So this one had a lot of gimmicks, like, can Columbo stop the bad guy if he's using hypnosis? And it's like,
Yeah.
Columbo goes to a military camp.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not where
Ooh,
he
we need to
normally
borrow some
goes.
socks.
And it's like, come on, guys. It gets worse too. It keeps going with the gimmick. I can think of like 2 episodes where it's not like super huge gimmick in this 6-episode season.
Yeah, this one was. I mean, the bad George Hamilton's pretty good. Especially, I thought the ending was pretty good. where he's like, oh, and that's that's another thing. There were 2 murders in this, right? He killed the girl with the hypnosis, and Columbo told him about it, and he's like, well, you got no proof, and he's like, yeah, you're right.
He's like, yeah.
Columbo's like, yeah, you're right, I can't prove it. He's like, I know you did it, and the guy's like, oh, you can't prove it, but he's like, I can prove that you killed Mr.
Yeah, Mr. Donner, and he's like, okay, do it. So he's like, can you call in Mr. what's his name? And he comes in.
The blind neighbor who was walking the dog.
So the blind guy comes in, right? He walks in, he sits down, and he's like, Columbo, would you like a match?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, sure. He takes the match, and Columbo does all these series of questioning. And the whole time, the guy who killed everyone is like, that guy's actually blind.
He's
so
blind.
Like, your facts are wrong, your logic is flawed.
Yeah.
And he's like, because that guy's blind. And Columbo's like, really? And then like he goes over and he's like, read this notepad. And then he's like,
he's reading it.
And he's like reading it. And he's like,
so he's not blind. The guy wasn't blind. So the way he got him is because why would he assume he's blind? Like, of all the things in the world, why would he assume that guy's blind?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't acting blind.
No,
the guy that he almost hit in the road was blind, and he heard the car. But the only way he would make that connection was if he actually assumed that this is the same guy. So they kind of dressed him the same. It was his brother.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But my problem with this episode is because the only reason that why Columbo catches him is because near the end, the assistant guy, Columbo's assistant, is like, hey, we got an eyewitness. He's blind, though.
Right.
And it's like, okay. And that's
Right.
it. That's it. The
That
whole
was it.
other episode is useless.
Yeah,
you could have started it there, and then
clues
he
were
would've
weird too.
been
I mean,
the same.
I think execution was not that great. Okay, Columbo finds a little flint. Remember that, like from the lighter. It's like the little thing that lights that makes a spark, for a lighter. And it's like the thing's like 3 millimeters wide, and there's like shag carpeting, and like and Columbo's like. They show him, like, zoom in on his fingers. It's like his giant fingers and his little tiny thing. It's like, how did he see that? I mean, okay, he could see it. It could happen. But anyway, yeah. And then the other thing that I was like, watching, and okay, I'm not trying to like nitpick and all that, but it does help when all these details are sorted out because in the other episodes they are.
Yeah.
The clue was, well, if they had pulled up in the driveway, the lights would have shown in the in the living room, and they would have seen the burglars coming.
Yeah.
And it's like this house from the outside is like this sprawling, like mega estate thing on the ocean. It's got like 20 rooms. It's huge mansions. Like, oh, and you telling me that like this super big mansion has a flaw that if you pull up, it's going to shine right into the living room.
Yeah.
It's like from the outside, it doesn't look like that would happen.
Or something.
Yeah, it was like a little apartment or something. But anyway. I mean, it was fine. It's
not a bad episode, not a good episode.
Yeah, not it was a little unmemorable. Okay, now let's get into the top 3, which we thought actually were really good.
Yeah,
really
this
good.
is when the season starts becoming less crap.
And agreed. Number 3 we have as the first episode of season 4, Exercise in Fatality. Remember that?
Yes. So Exercise in Fatality. Basically, this super fit gym guy.
Yeah.
Right? He is like he owns franchises, like he gyms and stuff.
What he does, he has a business model where he franchises the gyms with his name to different people, and then he sells them the gym equipment and the towels and whatever, all that stuff.
But this particular guy, he started getting a little greedy, like selling, like marking up the prices 400% to this one guy.
Right.
And of course, this guy finds out about it and is like, come tomorrow morning, I'm gonna like put you in jail and whatever. And this big fit guy's like, I'd like to see you try. And then he's like,
I know, it's like you're watching, you're like, and as if you know Columbo, you're like, oh no, don't do that. Call tomorrow. So he threatens him. He's like, when Monday morning I'm calling the police and you're gonna throw in jail. And he's like, oh yeah, we'll see about that. I'll see you later.
So then what he does is he makes it seem like he like changes him to his workout clothes.
Right.
And what he does is it makes him seem like he freaking like killed himself while doing exercises. Like the bar fell on his neck and he died. But Columbo was like, okay, he goes in there.
He goes in the office, right? And he's looking through his trash can and everything.
Yeah. And he's like, there's some Chinese food here.
Yeah.
Why would he be eating Chinese food and then going to exercise afterwards?
Right. And then the shoelaces.
Yeah,
was cool.
That
was actually pretty good. That was a good point.
It's funny, but it also makes sense. He's like, Columbo's like, he basically caught him because of the shoelaces. He's like, you tied the shoes incorrectly.
If you tie somebody else's shoes, the knot will be on the other side if you tied them yourself, and that's how he knew.
So
but it was good.
The reason why the big like tough guys thing was convincing at first is because he used tapes of the other guy, making
That's
it seem
right.
like he was
Recordings,
alive
audio recordings.
at the time that he was there. But Columbo, of course,
Figured it out,
everything
ruined
out.
his
My
day.
man
Ruined his day.
ruined his day.
And okay, one of my favorite parts of this. Okay, so Columbo is always matching the bad guy in wits. Like the bad guys could be geniuses, they could be super like powerful or whatever, but Columbo's always like matching him. He's not known for his physicality in the show. He's like, he's just a regular normal guy. So there's a scene where this guy's on the beach and he's like, Columbo's like, oh, got a few more questions, sir. And the guy's like, well, I'm going to take a run on the beach. You can follow me, Columbo, if you want to ask questions. He's like, okay. So the guy's running. He's like super fit. And then they get, he does his lap and he gets back home and Columbo's keeping up with him the whole time. It's like Columbo's like, dude, he's like, this is like super fit guy and Columbo's like with him the whole time. It's like, man. Like they don't really. I don't know if they meant it that way. I thought it was funny.
No, yeah, they didn't
hilarious.
even mention that. That's just something
Yeah,
for you to notice.
it's like, dude, Columbo,
This
like,
Columbo,
man.
rumpled jacket,
Rumpled
face,
jacket.
it's just like he's just running after him. And
Yeah, and he kept up.
kept up. My man.
My man. There we go. Okay, so let's move on to number 2, negative reaction.
Negative reaction. Oh, this one's really good.
Good episode, man. This was like,
Revisiting this
awesome.
one, I actually almost thought about moving it to the top, but I think the one that's at the top deserves it.
Yeah.
Would you like to explain some of this one?
Yeah. So this photographer, he's a photographer. He wants to kill his wife, I guess, because she's got money and he wants the money or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he hires an ex-con to go buy a house, or to actually like to look at a house and make an offer on it, and then he kidnaps his own wife, ties her up in that house, and takes a picture of her and kills her. And he frames the ex-con.
Yeah.
And then he kills the ex-con and shoots himself in the leg. He's like, oh, he shot at me, and I just shot him back. And then, it was...
Yeah. And he's like, this whole big thing. But Columbo got him hoping...
The end, yeah.
Oh, dude, the ending is probably the best ending.
And Dick Van Dyke was the bad
this
guy,
whole
another
one.
famous actor
Dick
from the
Van Dyke.
70s.
I've actually heard of that guy.
Okay, he was a good
So
bad guy. I thought.
Columbo,
He was good. He
this
was very
is probably
sinister.
one of my favorite endings, actually the best ending this season,
I would say so.
So basically, Columbo is showing him this picture, but it's like a mirrored picture. Basically, the time, if it wasn't mirrored, it would say like 3 o'clock or
Yeah, it was
something.
3 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and Columbo purposely switched it and said, and he said, look, says 3 o'clock. That's when you shot her. Therefore, you're guilty.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, just get the negative. And he goes no, I'm sorry. I dropped in hydrochloric acid.
Yeah, and the guy's like, what are you trying to pull? So he's like, just get the... He's like, there's
And they're
no
in the evidence
reason.
room with all these cameras
Yeah,
around.
so like, okay, let's take these, right?
All right.
Let's say this is the evidence room or whatever. So this man,
He says, well, if you get the original camera, Columbo, the negative will be in the back.
Yeah.
And and Columbo's like, well, I don't know. I don't know what
he's
you're
like,
talking
oh,
about.
I dropped it in acid somehow. And
Yeah.
he's like, what are you trying to pull? And he's like, just get a negative. And he goes through all this like collection of evidence and he grabs exactly the right one. And it's like, just look at the negative. And then
And
Columbo's like, he looks at everyone in the room.
Did you see what he just did?
Yeah, did you see what he just did? Did you
Yeah.
see what he just did? And then it turns out that's what Columbo was counting on. Columbo was counting on that he would be super smart and but he would also be stupid enough to give away his own camera.
Exactly. Only the killer would have known that was the camera used for the murder, the picture of the guy's wife. So he caught him. It was a cool ending. It was
Great
it was
ending.
good.
Like
Great
you,
ending.
you can see
Yeah.
the guy's like respecting his his rights, and Columbo's just standing there at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was cool. It was
Good.
a well done ending. And this one and the exercise fatality, were very, like the feel of the show, even the coloring and the directing was more like seasons 1 through 3. Whereas the other episodes I thought were a little weird. Like they were starting to be a little
They
strange.
were trying to
for-
be like a little too extra experimental.
Maybe, yeah.
like,
and
no
I
reason.
think the bad guys weren't great
Gimmicky
either.
episodes.
Yep.
Like this one, classic Columbo. Exercise, classic Columbo.
Yeah.
This next one is a gimmick episode, but it's
Good. I
it's
guess
a good
really well
episode.
done. Columbo on a boat. Or a ship.
Columbo on a boat ship.
Called Troubled Waters. So this guy, married guy, he's like a used car salesman
Yeah.
empire, and he's got all his like guys on his cruise ship, and his mistress is his wife's there, but also his mistress is the singer in the lounge act, and so he kills her because I think she's trying to blackmail him.
Yeah.
Not bribe him, blackmail him.
Not bribe. No.
And he kills her and sets up the guy who's like in love with her. He's like the clarinet player or the pianist
Yeah.
or something.
He just never leaves her alone.
Then yes, yeah, exactly. Somebody's. It's for.
Yeah.
It's. I guess that's.
I guess it's 4th of July.
No, that's New Year's Eve fireworks. Somebody still has leftovers.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Columbo's on the ship with no photographer, no technician, no fingerprint guy, and he's basically doing all this like police work. And there's gunshots going off everywhere.
I know,
I'm
right?
kidding, no.
Yeah.
So he's doing his police work, and it's a cool episode. I really
It is a
enjoyed
really
it.
good episode.
And fan fiction that people say that probably Mrs. Columbo is actually in this episode.
Yeah, the whole episode, Columbo was like, "Have you seen my wife? Have you seen my wife?
Yeah.
My wife's looking for me. Well, how about that?"
And he's
"Have you
actually
seen my
talking
wife?"
to her.
Yeah, he's like calling her on the phone, but you never hear her voice.
Yeah, you never hear her voice. So, is there really a Mrs. Columbo?
Well,
people think that maybe
Sadly,
not.
there is.
I know. Yeah, we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that later. But
So-
basically, how it ends is that this guy, right? He's like a detective now because he's working with Columbo on the case. Somehow.
Yeah.
He's like, Columbo, if you ever need help.
Yeah, the bad guy's always somehow hanging around
Yeah.
Columbo, and I think that's how Columbo kind
like,
of knows
Columbo,
they're
if
guilty.
you ever need help, just call me because apparently I'm as good as you are in your profession. And he's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll do that.
Don't they always talk too much? Is that
I
what happens?
know. It's like
Columbo's like, well, this means this, and it's like, well, this other explanation. Columbo's
he's like, what about this and this and
yeah,
this and
yeah.
this and this and this? You could have just been like, I don't freaking know.
They should. I mean, they
It's
should
your
just shut
job.
up. They should just shut up half the time, right? Like not say anything.
It's like, how about you do your
But they
job,
incriminate themselves.
honestly, Columbo?
Yeah.
But it's like, so basically, he throws the first gloves that he used to shoot the lady overboard. So
That's
those,
right.
those are not coming back.
And the gun too. I think he threw the gun out too.
Yeah. So then he's like, oh crap, they need like some like gun dust or whatever it's called. So then he like grabs
Powder marks.
Powder
It's called,
marks.
like when you shoot a gun, like the explosion.
gun dust.
Yeah, it's powder burns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so then he grabs a gun from like a magic show trip. He grabs the same gloves, shoots something, and then he puts him in like a fire hose compartment for some reason.
No, because you lost him, and the only way. So Columbo's like, well, the guy's trying to frame this guy so badly. Because the captain of the ship is like, no, the British. He's like, oh, no, we think the musician did it, and when we get to Mexico, he's going to give you a right. We already called the Coast Guard, but Columbo convinces them that he didn't do it, and so so the guy, in order to prove that the other guy did it, got another pair of gloves from like the doctor's office, got the magician's pistol, fired a shot, and it had the powder marks. And then he planted those gloves like inside a fire hose, and he hit the alarm, and then they found the gloves, and indeed they did have powder marks. But what else did they have?
They also had fingerprints inside of the gloves.
Inside the
Listen,
latex
this man
gloves.
decided he would use surgery gloves to shoot off a gun, and surgery gloves are made of plastic. Plastic is gonna leave some sort of fingerprints, and that's
Yep.
exactly what it did.
That's right.
This
And Columbo,
guy-
and I like Columbo at the end when he's like whistling.
Yeah.
Like he's like, and I like when he like he's like, yeah, they have powder marks, and then reverses the gloves, and he gets the finger from the inside. And then I like he turns to the guy and goes, now sir, if you don't mind, just give me your index finger, and we can wrap this up.
And the guy's like, it's my finger.
How did you know? How did you know?
You
Yep.
screwed me over, Columbo.
Yeah.
Thought we were tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they weren't there.
They weren't tight.
They weren't tight.
He's a
But he was
murderer.
pretty good. And then the other thing was when he got himself into the infirmary. Remember, he faked a heart attack. He had like this like these things that
Yeah,
he
he was,
breathed
like,
in, and it made him like have.
Yeah.
It looked like he had a heart attack, and he went to the infirmary. And then they took his like blood pressure, and it was like really high after the murder.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, he was running up the stairs to go kill this girl, and then run back up to the doctor's office.
Yeah.
So all that stuff, but it was good. It was good. Good episode.
Good episode.
Probably if it was in season 3, I don't even know if it would have ranked probably the mid to high
It
maybe.
would probably be like middle pack, which is kind of upsetting if you really think about the series as a whole.
Yeah.
We went from season 3 being just constant bangers of episodes.
Yeah.
Like, they were so good, but then season 4 kind of let down after letdown.
Yeah.
But this one, shining jewel, as
Good
well
episode.
as the
Good
photographer
episode.
one.
Yeah, and the
honestly.
photographer one's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I mean, it was good. Still, I mean,
If you're
but there
gonna-
was a few that were just I thought were a little weird.
Yeah, if you're going to watch
Little
any
off.
from these ones, just watch the top 3, which are Exercise and Fatality, Negative Reaction, and Troubled Waters.
Yeah.
You're going to want to watch those ones.
Yeah, the other ones are good, worth watching too. But I mean, you'll just decide for yourselves.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna raise it. Those are the bottom 3,
Like-
you morons. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. So I think Alex, I think we got it. It wraps it up for us here.
That about wraps it up. Yep.
So we're gonna get started on season number 5.
Season 5.
6 more episodes only in season 5.
Now
so
let's hope that curve goes from up, down to back up again.
I know.
All right.
I know. Yeah, I told you some research, and they say season 5 is pretty good supposedly. So let's see.
I
Let's
hope
see how
so.
it goes. So thank you very much, everybody, for
Thank you
watching.
very much.
And we appreciate it. Thank you.
Like, comment, subscribe. If you want to be featured on Comment of the Week, like my man
Yeah, right.
Albert over here.
Yeah.
My man Albert.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a new thing we're doing. Anyways, thank you so much for
Thank you,
watching.
guys. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Take care.
Good job. All right, guys. Thank you.